There are few things as luxurious as good linen. So we are going to walk through a little bit of a linen 101, what you're looking for when it comes to mixing patterns, but also just the fabric of the linens that you purchase and how many you need. So let's start
There's
at
a lot
the
to know.
beginning.
So this is all from Hudson's Bay, and our art is from Art Interiors, which I love that boat in the palace living room. But there is a lot to know about bedding. So we'll start right off the top. This is what we call hemstitch, and this is woven right into the fabric. You can see it almost looks like lace.
Right.
And that's a great detail. I love that. That's a little more formal, and it gives the bed a tiny bit more traditional feel.
Okay.
And then one of the constructions we were talking about, and for detail, there's this bed also. See where we have a grosgrain ribbon?
Yeah.
So that's also a detail that's a sort of a little more modern, where you get that contrast color. It's not woven in the fabric; it's sewn on.
Okay, so that's if you're looking for a maybe more contemporary space.
A little more contemporary, you would do something like that.
Okay.
And then we have what's called percale, and percale is a low thread count sheet. The warp and the weft, which is the way the fabric is woven, is the same both ways.
Yeah.
And it is usually a low thread count. So you don't want percale, it doesn't even come higher than 400. It starts at 200. And you want that because this sheet is crisp and usually cool. So this is a great summer sheet. Percale is a great summer sheet, great for cottages or if you don't have air conditioning. You just want that crispy sheet.
Right. Okay. So I guess the other option is sateen.
Sateen would be more like this, and sateen, the difference between sateen is the warp and weft are on an angle.
Okay.
And it's 4 to 1. So you have one way and 4 the other way. Also, the thread is mercerized. They sometimes do it where they sort of burn the thread, so it takes off all the little pieces that come off and makes it finer. And that's what gives you that sheen.
Okay.
So you get that nice sheen to a sateen. It looks silky.
Yes.
It feels beautiful. Typically higher thread count, though you can get a low thread count sateen, but they go up to 1,000 or more for thread counts.
So it's a bit of a myth that the whole thread count thing, if you're just looking for thread count, that's a bit of a myth because it's about more than that.
Well, that's true because the thread count, if it says 1,000 threads, it means there's 1,000 threads per inch.
Right.
But people have gotten, you don't really have to spend that much time. You don't want to say, I want 1,500 thread count unless you're buying a very, very high-end sheet because they're really 1,000 threads, where sometimes you can do a thread that's made up of 3 and count that as 3, but it's really 1 thread.
I see.
So don't get so hung up on the sheets. You know, if it's 6, 7, 1,000, that's about it. Don't go any higher. If it's higher, it probably isn't even true.
Okay. They lie.
They lie. And then we have what's called a dobby. I don't know if you can see this, but it's a woven pattern. It's a tone-on-tone pattern that's woven. You either get Glen check, stripes, things like that. So that's how you get a pattern that's woven into the bed.
And it just gives it a little bit of extra detail.
For people that like solid sheets, as their top of bed also, if you want a duvet cover and you don't want any pattern, you want to get a dobby because you want a little pattern to it, and it's a little more forgiving for the wrinkles. It hides a little more of the wrinkles.
Have a little fun, live a little, would you?
Live a little. Iron your sheets. And this is embroidered. This is a bed we did in a few colors in gray, and we just launched this in gold. Look at the amount of embroidery in that.
Yeah, that's a big deal. So you're obviously paying a little bit more for something like this.
You are, and because of the amount of work in that. So that is a really special bed, and you want the embroidery to be thick like that. Like this is tight. You don't want to see the color of the sheet through the embroidery, and then it's just going to open up all the time.
Right.
And this is a printed bed.
Yep.
So we have printed, and you can see the back of the duvet and the pillows are a different pattern.
I like
so
that.
A lot of printed beds, all the ones we do, the back of the duvet is a different pattern than the front. So you don't do that with a woven, you do that with a printed. And that really gives you 2 duvets in one.
Right.
So if you could have this on the bed at one time, and then you can change it up to that on the other. This one, too, has this on the front and that on the back.
Oh, that's cool. So depending on your mood.
Those are printed.
Now, I want to know how many sets of sheets per bed would you need? Let's say you're starting from scratch.
You should always have 3 sets. You should have the one that's on the bed.
Yeah.
You should have the one that's in the laundry room.
Yes.
And one in the cupboard.
One waiting to go.
Never have one set.
No, you're in trouble.
You don't want to be washing. It's like clothes. You don't want to wash that all the time.
Yes.
Minimum 2.
Okay.
But I would try to do 3. Now, the 3 don't have to be the same. If you did a bed like this, you could have the matching sheet, and you could do a solid color sheet. You can have a white sheet. You could do lots of things. So don't think I have to buy 3 of the same.
Right.
But just change it up. The sheets will last longer. And don't over dry your sheets in the dryer. don't take them out when they're hot because they will eventually, you'll make the bed and they'll split down in the center.
Okay.
Usually we take the sheets out when they're even just a teeny bit damp and just hang them up and let them dry naturally. The same with towels. If you over dry them, the fibers get crunchy, and that's when everything gets hard. And you say, why does it not feel like this anymore? It's because you've over dried them.
So you don't mind the hanging, the texture and the feel of stuff after it's been hung?
No.
Because I like the fluffiness of coming out of the dryer hot.
No.
No.
Well, that's good for me because you keep buying new sheets and towels. But
is that why all of my stuff is tearing down the middle?
Between you and I, don't do that.
Don't do that, huh?
Your sheets will last longer if you don't cook them.
Got it. All right. Be good to your sheets.